Creepers left and right, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to stimulate it. Spiders in the mirror and feel this can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? Dreaming of those eyes, the best part of my life. And when we make love, babe, the world don't make a sound. The clock won't turn around. Ooh, you turn around for 1,000 little fires, and no, your circle is spreading around for mine.
Hello my friends. Hello my friends. Welcome back to a vlog. Look at this. These are my bangs, which I usually keep out, and then I'm telling you like you care. But you know, I need to wash my hair soon, and my bangs were kind of like blech. So back in the braid they go, and then that's what happens to them. So, hello friends, welcome back to another vlog. It is Monday. I decided to vlog this week. I've kind of taken a little bit of a break from vlogging, just a couple weeks. Anyways, are you glad I'm back? Hello. If you're glad I'm back, let me know, okay? I need it. Anyway, I'm about to go into the gym. I've been struggling with a series of pretty bad flare-ups that have led to more doctor appointments and more tests, and it's just a really frustrating experience. But anyways, I'm sorry. Just so much has been going on with my business, with my home, family. It's just vlogging, which I dearly love and which is usually very therapeutic for me, just seemed like I just don't have the mental space to do that right now. But I am reading The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, which is a book that was recommended to me by Paperbacks and Lattes. She is an adorable person. You need to go and follow her if you are not. She has a YouTube channel and an Instagram. So last year I did the 12 Friends Recommend Me 12 Reads, and I've actually been keeping up with it this year. Go me. I did Daughter of the Forest, and then I also did Legends and Lattes and Waking Up with the Dukes, and now I am on, I'm just gonna not do them one at a time, just gonna do them as I feel up to it. So I have had this audiobook for a very long time. I've had a physical copy and a Kindle edition for a very long time. This book was published in 2016, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. I feel like this is one of those books, this one and Culty and probably From Lukov with Love, that anybody who loves Mariana Zapata, they're like, you have to read this book. So this is one that I actually haven't read. Truthfully, I've only read 3 Mariana Zapata books, and I've loved 2. One was okay. So this vlog is very chaotic, but this is a book that I feel like people always rave about, you know, and I actually feel like the first time I heard about this book was from Gabby Reads, who I think she mostly reads horror and thrillers and stuff like that now, but she loved this book, and then I heard everybody talking about it. So I'm nervous about this book, but I'm excited because I've been in a big contemporary romance mood recently. Ever since I read The Right Move, I've just been like, give me all of the contemporary romance. Give it to me all of the time. That's what I want. That's all that I want. Oh my gosh, is that a doggo? Sorry. It wasn't. So, you probably know what the setup of this book is. Grumpy, he's like a football star, obviously, and she is his personal assistant, does everything for him. And I'm only a few chapters into it, and I'm a fan of Mariana Zapata's writing, although I will say with this book, I haven't read one of her books since last year when I read Roads. With this book, I'm very aware that she is overly wordy, you know, that's what makes her books so long, is that she really tells you every single thought that goes through her characters' heads, and I don't know how I feel about that right now. It's not anything that I feel real negative about, but I am aware of it and the impact that it has on the page count. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. So I am enjoying it. That's all I'm going to tell you about right now. I don't know what else I'm going to include in this vlog. I'll tell you about the Kindle book that I'm reading, because maybe that's also a book that I will include. Just sort of depends on how much time I'm able to read. Basically, it depends on how much insomnia I have. If I have a lot of insomnia where I'm up in the middle of the night, I do a lot of reading. That's when I do my best reading, to be truthful. I'm not kidding. Anyway, the physical book that I am reading on my Kindle is Rootbound by Tara DeWitt. So I honestly wasn't really... this really wasn't on my radar at all. You know, I just barely had... Today, I had my March TBR come out, and I had a lot of books on there. Not a lot. I had 6 books. Oh my gosh. I'm not editing this. I do very little editing with my vlogs, but I do apologize for my randomness of my thoughts. So, Rootbound wasn't really on my radar, but my dear friend Jessin started reading it, and she was telling me a little about it, and she's like, I really think that I want you to pick up this book. I think you would like it. She's like, so, of course I do what Jessin says when it comes to books. So I picked it up, and wow, I was very into the first prologue. The prologue kind of guts you, because it starts with the heroine just on the cusp of a divorce because her husband cheated on her and left her, and she was like completely blindsided by it. So now she's obviously picking up the pieces. She's a photographer, and she ends up she has an estranged relationship with her dad too. Her mother has passed away from some terminal illness, I'm assuming cancer. And so she gets this photography job to go to her father's ranch and take pictures, because it sounds like there's like almost like a Yellowstone type of series that's being filmed on the ranch. And there's this big, huge cowboy, western, rugged guy out there that everybody is like thirsting over. He's not an actor, he's like an extra. And I'm assuming that's the relationship. But she is very hesitant to go take the job because of the estranged relationship with her dad. So both of those books are what I'm currently reading. They're both contemporary romances. I don't know what to tell you, y'all. I'm mostly this year, as I've said before in my videos, but if you're new here, hi, welcome. I'm sorry, I'm not typically this chaotic. I promise. I have usually more, my thoughts are a little more clear, a little more concise. But this year specifically, I want to be sure that I'm reading only what I want to in that moment. So that's sort of why I cut down my TBR so much, and that's why I'm just letting myself mood read. I'm saying goodbye to arcs within reason, and I'm just gonna mood read. So that's the gist of it. I've got a ton of work I've got to do today, this week, this month, always. Anyway, I'm excited to listen to this audiobook, and I will keep y'all updated as I have more thoughts on it. Listen, let me tell you something, okay? I am so professional when I film these vlogs. Yes, I am still wearing this gray hoodie, but it's a different day, y'all. It's a different day. I made the mistake of drinking my pre-workout before I filmed this vlog clip because I forgot, which is usually what I prop y'all up against because it's full. So now I had to, I'm a professional YouTuber. I'm not really, I'm just a girl talking to my friends on my phone about books. So I do have a few thoughts about The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. This is the book I'm currently reading. I am now on chapter 7, so I'm this far into it, 118 pages, and we have just barely gotten to the marriage of convenience deal part. So my first impressions, I mean, obviously when I talked to you before, my first impressions were really just that the writing style is so easy to get into. This is a very consumable book, and I don't feel like, I mean, it is long, but I don't feel like it feels long, you know what I mean? Although I am very aware of how she is like padding the words in her descriptions and giving you all of the inner dialogue for specifically the heroine, because that's the point of view that we're in. And I can see how that's just like adding pages to this book. But I also am not really, somebody's honking at somebody, but I'm also not really minding that at all. Like, it's not, you know, it's interesting because when I read the Lucy Score, the blue book that everybody was raving about, and I absolutely did not like that book. I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was terrible, objectively terrible, and also subjectively terrible. Anyways, that book felt so long to me. And it's very interesting to me how another one of my favorite books is very long, Restore Me by J.L. Seegers. And a lot of people, if one complaint that people will have about that is the length of it. For me personally, I didn't feel like it was long because I was so invested in the characters that I was like, yes, tell me everything. And that's something that J.L. Seegers does too, is she really likes to keep you in her characters' heads and give you every single thought that they're having. And I love that experience if I'm really invested in the characters, which I was for Restore Me. So I am enjoying the way that this author is doing that, getting you really into the heroine's head a lot. I think it's really working well. She's observing everything around her, paying attention to every little detail, and sort of like really analyzing it. So anyway, that was just an observation. Now, this book is a typical Grumpy Sunshine book. And honestly, I feel like where I'm at now with my reading preferences, I have a very low tolerance level for an extreme grumpy a-hole hero. Like, I just don't have time for that. I don't care to read about men like that. I don't feel like the payoff of having that hero get over his emotional constipation is ever really worth it in a way that's satisfying to me, very rarely. So this book is very, like, he is so grumpy with her. He's so rude to her. Like, in the beginning, he doesn't stand up for her when somebody mentions her body and how unattractive she is. Like, he is the type of man that I am like, have zero interest in. And really the only redeeming factor that he has is his appearance. He's this big, huge, strong, handsome, sexy, powerful, strong guy. And I'm just sort of like, why do I care? Why do I care? I don't know. I find, so I don't like him, right? If I had not read Mariana Zapata before, if I wasn't really vibing with her writing, I probably would DNF this, because I know that's not the type of hero that I like. And I don't have the patience or the tolerance to watch a woman consistently bend over backwards to get this man to be nice to her. That's really the gist of what my issue is with this type of a man in romances these days, is I'm just sort of like, literally the woman is doing everything in her power, going above and beyond to get a scrap of kindness from this man. And absolutely the F not. Get out of here. No. So, all of that being said, Culty was a very similar reading experience for me, in that the hero was so grumpy and so rude to her that for most of that book I was like, I don't like this guy at all, until the very end, when finally I did feel like the payoff was worth it. Now, it's been several years since I read Culty, and like I said, my tolerance for that type of hero is very low. I just don't know. It's not a satisfying read for me anymore. I'm tired. I am so tired of seeing that. A woman just going above and beyond to get a scrap of affection and kindness from this man who is borderline abusing her. Absolutely not. It's not. The satisfaction that I used to get is no longer there for me. So I am interested to see how I feel about this and how he unravels for her, because at this point, he's about a zero. So I'm curious to see what happens. And of course, like always, my curiosity is really what's propelling me to finish this book. So it'll be interesting to see how she pulls it off. But I'm honestly mostly interested to see how I feel about that, because the last Mariana Zapata book that I read was All Roads Lead Here. And while he was definitely grumpy, he was nowhere near as grumpy as Aiden. That's his name, right? Yeah, Aiden. So, and I didn't really love All Roads Lead Here. I didn't think it was terrible, but I didn't love it. I don't know. So, anyways, those are my thoughts. This vlog is going to be so long. I'll come back when I've read some more. However, I did want to mention that I have been, I mentioned Rootbound is what I was reading physically, and then last night, of course, I couldn't sleep. I did have insomnia, and I had been hearing so much about this fantasy romance, The Witch Collector. I followed the author. She shared a teaser for an upcoming book, which is, I think is like book 3 in the series, that had me so captivated, and I just really felt like reading a fantasy romance. And so I did pick this one up last night, and I read the first chapter, and I really liked it. So I'm interested to see what happens with this one. This has a very similar trope, kind of like Hades and Persephone, where a woman needs to go and be like like the big bad guy, powerful guy, comes and takes a woman, and that's what keeps the town safe. So the heroine is the sister of a woman who has been taken, and she is determined to go and get her back, and she's going to kill the big bad guy and put an end to that so that their people will be free. So I'm really interested in this one. I have my fingers crossed that I'm going to love it because I've heard good things, but mostly what I've specifically seen the author share are really like ringing my bells, like stuff that has to do with like sacrifice and very romantic, and so I don't know which of those I'm really going to prioritize for this vlog, but that's everything that I'm reading, so you're welcome for this chaotic vlog clip, and I'll see you soon.
Staring out the window on a cloudy morning, trying to lick her wounds while the tea is swarming. Sometimes it's like a bird that's never shipped out. Sometimes you go around and I never run the rail. This week has been a mess, but I'm gonna tell you, we're a bit at work, gonna make it brand new. We're gonna play the way for a comeback. We all need some time, and I promise you that. Promise you that. I promise you that. I know this can take a while.
Okay, hello my friends. I'm just working, and I just thought that I had just a little bit of thoughts about The Wild Winnipeg and Me. And one of them is that the hero is, so I'm like on chapter 12 or something like that. Like I'm about 250 pages into the book. And the hero, Aiden, he is very flat. He's a very flat character at this point. And I know we're going to get more character development, but it really makes me wonder why this book is so appealing and so many people love it, because he's a very flat character. The only thing he really has going for him is his size and his looks and his muscles. And I mean, he's starting to be kind to her. They're married now, and they're, you know, living in that marriage of convenience, and she's seeing that he is doing some things that are thoughtful, but we're talking like bare minimum types of things here, you know? So I find that interesting, and I'm waiting for character development from him. Also, something that I think that Mariana Zapata does do well in her grumpy, extreme grumpy hero, Sunshine, is the heroine is very strong, and she does not put up with his crap. And that was also how Culty was, and from Lukov with Love. Cosmo! Why he gotta do that when I'm filming? And I think the fact that the heroine is so strong and is like, I'm not putting up with this, I quit, I'm leaving, like, she gives it right back. Like, I really love that she has a heroine who's doing that. So she feels, you know, she's still very tender. Like, she wants to constantly be taking care of him and constantly be worried about him and concerned about him. Like, she's sort of almost not necessarily mothering him, but kind of she is in the way that she's taking care of him. And that's basically what her job has been. You know, she cooks his she cooks his meals, she takes care of his bills, you know, like, she's essentially a mother to him, a paid. So it is interesting that, you know, she's very strong, a very strong heroine, and stands up to him, but also she can't stop herself from nurturing him. So I am still really enjoying it. It's a very engaging read, and I also feel like it's very interesting. I'll talk about this tomorrow because my arm is getting tired. The pace of this book is really interesting, and it's intriguing to me how she's able to maintain my interest with very little happening. So I'll talk about that in my next clip, but I just wanted to come and say that before it left my brain. Hello, it's Wednesday evening, and I have a drink I'm making. I'm gonna go work some more, and I didn't listen to this audiobook pretty much at all today. Maybe a tiny bit. I'm still halfway through, and I'm kind of bored right now with it. Like, this book is very interesting in a lot of ways because this book is so often said to be a slow burn, that Mariana Zapata is a slow burn. Everybody knows that Mariana Zapata is a slow burn, but I'm sitting here and I'm questioning if that is actually the case, because while it is slow, is it actually burning? Is anything burning? Is there any passionate feelings happening at 50% of the way through? No, there's not. But I don't want that to sound like a criticism, because I don't hate this book at all. It's very pleasant, you know? Like, I, of course, if you don't know, 2005 Pride and Prejudice, my favorite movie of all time. I've been rewatching it lately. And you know when Elizabeth is, like, talking about with Mr. Darcy, and there's all this, like, sexual tension between them? I think so anyway. And she's talking about her trip to Bath, and she's like, it's very pleasant. And he's like, yes, pleasant. Like, that's how I feel about this book. Like, it's just pleasant. There's nothing about it that is, like, gripping me. Nothing about it that is off-putting. I am, like, because I'm not, like, super duper invested in the story, I am picking up on some things that I think are kind of, like, interesting. But, I am making myself a little drink. I've got these little True grapefruit packets. My hyperfixation drink at the moment is Diet Mountain Dew with some type of citrus in it, but not like fake citrus. Like, it's got to be like fresh orange or something, but you know, like, those are very expensive to be putting in your drinks all the time. So I got this little True grapefruit packet, which is literally crystallized grapefruit, and it smells so freaking good. And then I just put that in the drink, and it's just magical. So, my point is that Mariana Zapata has a very readable writing style. Like, that's something I've noticed in all of her books. They're very readable. But I do feel like there's pretty much zero external plot happening at this point, because they've already been married, and small things in their everyday life are happening. This is very much like a slice of life type of book. And I think that, like, even though the overall stakes are high in that nobody can find out that this is a marriage with convenience, and, you know, she's in a lot of debt. That's really the only high stakes that are happening here so far. And it's just like the relationship is unfolding extremely slowly, but I hesitate to call it a slow burn. I think it's slow build, but when I think of burn, I think that the sexual tension is high. Like, these two, like, you can feel the chemistry. Like, you can just, you know what I mean? You experienced that before. And I don't feel like that. So I do think that for up until just barely in this book, this hero has been extremely flat and one-dimensional. He's just barely starting to get a little bit of depth to him. So I am liking it. I find it interesting, like, the timing of this book. Would this book, if this were published today, would this gain the chokehold on romance readers that it had in 2016? I don't think it would, you know? And I think that has a lot to do with a lot of things, but one of them I truly think is that attention spans are shorter for everyone, specifically anybody who's on, like, social media or anything like that. Like, I was just on TikTok while I was eating dinner. Of course I was. And like, I'm watching either book reviews or when people are talking, or I'm watching, like, recipe TikToks, and I, like, find myself getting bored in this 2-minute video, and I'm, like, fast forwarding it, and I'm just like, what is wrong with me that I can't watch a 2-minute video? Anyway, some of you are probably doing that right now, because this is a bunch of rambly nonsense. My point is that I just, you know, yesterday I was really vibing with this, I was really liking it, and then today I was sort of like, I could watch this, or I could listen to this, or I could watch a YouTube video of one of my friends, you know? And so, yeah. Okay. That's all I have to say right now. I feel overall, my overall impression of this book is truly that, so the readability of this is pretty high. The writing is solid. The storytelling is, I don't know. Overall, my feelings so far are mid to mid-high. Listen. Okay? I'm on chapter 23. That much left. Finally, we are getting a little bit of burn. We're getting a little bit of sizzle. Finally. So, like, I repeat, this is not, I don't believe this is a slow burn. This is a slow build, but this is the first hint of burn. The first hint. Also, yes, thank you to those of you who said, I believe some of you said when I was talking about how much I love the line, "Don't touch my wife," or "That's my wife," like, it just, it makes me want to, like, kick my feet and giggle. I just love it so much. So, I'm still not sure. I don't think this is going to be a 5-star read, but I am having a good time reading it. So, there's that. Hello, friends. Hello, I have just a minute, but I just barely finished The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, and this is going to be just a one-book vlog. Unfortunately, I really didn't make any more headway on either Rootbound or The Witch Collector, although I am very interested in both of them still. I just haven't had any time to read this week. So I plan to prioritize probably The Witch Collector this weekend. So I'll have a review for that soon. But I'm not going to be vlogging over the weekend because I don't want to feel rushed to finish a book. Because my reading pace has slowed down a lot. Hello. I know I've said it in several videos, but my reading pace has definitely slowed down a lot, and I left Team Klaus. I'm actually Team Elijah, but I mean both. Let's be Team Klaus, Team Elijah, and Team Damon, okay? But I find so much more enjoyment with my reading when I'm not trying to just hurry through books. I just don't enjoy reading fast like that. I don't enjoy it. And I have so much pressure on me in my personal life, my work life, that I don't need reading, which is my escape, my stress reliever, to feel like it's pressuring me, you know? So anyway, I had fully intended to do at least 2 books in a vlog, but alas, you only get one. So let me tell you my final thoughts on this. I ended up giving this 3 stars, and I think that, you know, this is a difficult book for me. I kind of wavered back and forth. There was a time for sure, like in my last clip, I was like, oh my gosh, here we have some chemistry, we have some attraction, we have this development in the relationship that was progressing in a way that I really enjoyed, plus, that's my wife. Favorite line ever. So I was thinking, you know, maybe this will be a 4-star, but I held out hope that somewhere at the end of this book it would convince me to be a 5-star, and that never really happened for me. I think something that I've noticed with most of Mariana Zapata's books that I have read is that she will often have a pretty powerful lead up to the end and a powerful ending that really, like, clinches the deal for me, you know, like that happened in Culty and From Lukov with Love. But I didn't feel like that happened here, and I felt really very disengaged from him as a hero the whole time. I mean, there were definitely moments where I saw who he was as a man and why she had feelings for him, but the way that they fell in love, and specifically on his part, which there were very few, like, especially considering we don't have his point of view, we don't understand why he's behaving the way he is. He's so reserved and so closed off for so much of the book that he's a really hard hero for me personally to feel a lot of feelings for. I just felt very ambivalent towards him, and I think that also has a lot to do with the way that he is written to be a very flat character. He's a very stereotypical, big, strong, powerful football player type of guy that a lot of women fantasize about and swoon over, but that holds little appeal to me, like 0 appeal to me. I feel like I'm at the stage in my life right now where a 6-pack does absolutely nothing for me other than I appreciate the beauty that is there. It's not anything that makes me feel like this is a viable love interest for my heroine, you know? Not saying that it hurts, but I'm just saying that if we're basing our relationship entirely on his big, powerful presence, and we're disregarding the way he has treated her or the way that he has neglected her, I mean, there needs to be something to overcome that, and I just didn't feel like that was ever really there. I felt like this man was giving the bare minimum, and I just don't like that. So I don't think that I see the appeal of this. I truly do. I mean, like, this is definitely the type of man that is, you know, she's the only one he cares about. And I fall for that trope hard. I really do. I feel like, you know, as I said earlier in the vlog, that my tolerance for something like that is pretty low if there's not enough to make me believe that he desperately loves her, that she is the only one for him, and that it's strong. And I didn't feel like that. I felt like it was really just sort of mid. So I think that really sums up my feelings about this book. It's just very mid. I feel like the sex scene that we got was also extremely clinical, and I just wasn't a fan of that. It did absolutely nothing for me, and I don't know. So there were parts of this that I really enjoyed. I like the protectiveness of him, obviously. I love a protective hero. I liked the times when they were interacting and were starting to have and express feelings for each other, but I can't get over the fact that this really needed, or it would have benefited so much from his point of view, because we really don't know how he feels about her at all. So yeah, 3 stars for this. I am slightly disappointed, but I am glad that I read it, however. So thank you so much, Paige, for recommending this to me. It was a fun reading experience. It did take me all week. Today is Friday. I started this on Monday. This is the only book I've read this week. There was just a lot of dead space in here. The pacing wasn't a win for me either. There was so much of this book that was just very mundane, that really had, I just did not feel like it was holding my interest at all. So I know I feel like I'm being super negative, but I also feel like I don't want to say that I'm being picky, even though I feel like I am a little bit of a picky, but I just feel like my tolerance for certain tropes that are overdone in romance is ice thin, you know? And this did not fill the bill for what I wanted for those tolerances to be overlooked, you know what I mean? So, slightly disappointed, but I am glad that I finally read it. I really am. And it wasn't honestly, like, even though I have disappointments and I have critiques, it was not a frustrating, at times it was frustrating. It wasn't a miserable reading experience. It was pleasant, you know, like I said earlier. So yeah, 3 stars for this. Thank you so much for watching this vlog. I'm sorry it was a bit rambly and chaotic, but I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, if you've made it this far, please feel free to leave me a football emoji, and I'll see you in my next video.